This exhibition is Heads and Tails, and the heads are people from around Leeds and Yorkshire that I found quite fascinating, people that have been in my life for a long time but I've not had any conversation with, and I thought I'd like to meet them and paint them. So I'd go and knock on the door and say, hello, I see you in cinema queues, I see you in pubs, and I've seen you performing, and I'd like to paint you, would you come around and let me paint you? And it's a case of just kind of meeting these people and having a taste of them for 10 or 15 minutes, and bringing them home, making them a sandwich, and then having fun with paint and getting to know them over a few hours. And the other section is called Tales, and it's basically little stories about my life, evocative little images that really, you know, that are very important to me. Little stories from my childhood about school, about fear, about joy, about panic, about first love, and we'll be looking at some of these over the next few minutes. This is Opus Gallery, Newcastle-upon-Tyne, and my work's on show at the moment here, and it looks fine.
And that's the latest on Smooth Radio. I'm Mik Artistik.
Wet and windy in the north tonight. Saturday's mild.
My tooth, well, I had a tooth in my head about a week ago, but then on Monday evening, I had a plum, and I bit into the plum, and the tooth appeared in my hand. And now I've been going around and I'm dodging the F's. F's are tricky, love's tricky. And next week I'm going to the dentist and hopefully have a new crown in, and it'll be fine. I'll look like a bonny lad again. But now I'm just a bit dubious looking. I'm Mik Artistik, and this is an exhibition of mine of paintings called Heads and Tails. This is Barry, he's a head, and he's from Hull, and he's a tricky character, and I've been painting lots of tricky characters that excite me from around Leeds and Yorkshire. He reminded me of myself when I was a kid, and I could see there was a lot of kind of energy and a lot of kind of confusion and a lot of creativity there just under the surface that excited me. And I remember, and I sensed that kind of, that urge to do stuff, and maybe just the uncertainty of which way to go, and the awkwardness of having this much energy and not being sure which way to direct it. So I saw a little bit of him in me, and that's why I painted him. This is called The Big Paw, and this is me, and I was working on the Leeds Dental Hospital about 25 years ago, and this is probably the hardest working day of my life. And it started at 8 o'clock when about 6 or 7 big cement mixers turned up, and concrete mixers, sorry, like cement concrete, I'm not sure what it was, full of wagons full of stuff, and I had to hold this hose, and it just poured out, and there'd be chaps around me just shoveling and levelling the concrete, and after about 5 minutes my arms felt like they were going to just fall off, and it was just incredibly horrible, terrible day, really. We worked till 2 o'clock, we worked from 8 o'clock till 2, no lunch break, we just worked straight through because we didn't want the concrete to go off, so we just had to keep working, keep shoveling, keep holding this hose and keep allowing the concrete to be spread out. And then at 2 o'clock we finished, and we all ended up in the cabin, and you could hear a pin drop. 60, 70 big Irish fellas there, absolutely shattered. And the boss came in and said, right, you can all go home now, because we've done the day's work. This is Anthony. He's got the same birthday as me, 22nd of May, and he's a tall, very elegant man, and I saw him around for years, and a bit interesting, a bit elusive. I was never sure what he did. I just knew he looked very stylish, always well dressed. And then I saw him performing poetry at this club in Leeds, and he was going for, he was doing something like kind of, let's see, some old 19th century poem or something, and it was stunning, and it was something about the Crimean War or something, and he went at it hammer and tongs. And then I discovered that he was a painter as well, and that he painted flowers, he works in oils. And I thought, I want to paint Anthony, and we have long rambling conversations on the phone every now and again, and occasionally we go out for a drink together on our birthdays. This is called Paralysed, and I'm here, out of shot. And this is a woman who I fancied a long time ago when I used to go to Leeds polydiscos in about 1971. I was about 17 or 18. And she was beautiful, and I didn't have the courage to go and ask her to dance. And I'd watch her, and there she was out in this special space, and there was no way that I could walk to that space. It was just too frightening, and the idea of these people watching me collapse in a ball of anxiety and despair was just too much. So I just watched for a year. I'd go every Saturday, and she just looked so self-possessed and so self-contained and chic and sexy, and I just couldn't face the idea of her just turning me down for a dance. This is Benson Walker, my bass player, and this is him about 4 years ago, the very first time we played Glastonbury, and it's my abiding memory of Glastonbury 2007. It's called Walker in the Wars, and it was so horrible and wet and nasty, it just poured down for 4 or 5 days, and Ben was always behind me, just swimming through the mud with his amp on his, carrying his amp and carrying his guitar on his back. This is Louis. I've known Louis for quite a long time. I've seen him around Leeds for years, and he's an interesting character, and I've seen him at music events. He does open mic nights, and he's got some interesting sideburns. He's a big barrel-chested black guy who plays a bit of blues. He's got a bit of a limp, and he's an interesting fella, and I just thought he'd make a really good painting. So he's one of the collection. This is called The Grove. This is on a Wednesday night in Leeds. They have a club called Unplugged, or they used to do, and loads of people would turn up maybe on a wet, rainy night and do a favourite Radiohead song or whoever else, or do some blues or something. You get 5 minutes on stage and people normally politely applaud. Louis used to go to the chap I was speaking to before, and this is where I learnt all my chops as a performer, and it was always a colourful, patchy evening, really.
Through the window with a hammer in his hand, he's a killer. If he's looking through the window with some pliers in his hand, he's a burglar or a killer. Waiting to cut the telephone. If he's looking through the window with a spanner in his hand, he's a plumber or a killer. But if he's looking through the window with a flannel in his hand, he's a window cleaner, wringing out his wrap, a window cleaner, rubbing down his fist, a window cleaner, rubbing down the back, a window cleaner, walking on the door, a window cleaner. Any chance you're looking to what? God bless you, you've been fabulous, thank you so much.
This is Andy Hook. He's teaches portraiture at Swarthmore, and he does stained glass work as well. And he's got one arm, and me and him are doing a little project at the moment involving 2 gramophone players, and he's going to be mixing and scratching, and I'm going to be rambling and freestyling over it. And he's also painted a portrait of me as well, and he's a lovely fella. And that's Heads and Tails.